I'm going to be doing something I never thought I would do. When you start collecting Tyranids, you are forced to make one pretty difficult decision from one kit in particular. This kit. This one right here. So let's have a little chat about that, shall we? This is the Hive Tyrant and the Swarmlord kit. Now with this kit, you get the option of building 3 potential models. We've got the Hive Tyrant on foot, we've got the Flyrant, or the Flying Hive Tyrant, and the Swarmlord. And as you can see, I have all 3 options because the plastic crack addiction is strong within me. But you might have also noticed that one doesn't particularly fit in. So I was faced with a decision. I could strip down my old Swarmlord and repaint him again in my new scheme, or I could build a new one. Now this is where the problem lies. You actually only get one torso from this kit. So once you make one of them, that's it. That's the torso used. Whether you use the Swarmlord, the Hive Tyrant on foot, or the Flying Hive Tyrant, it's one torso. And you've got all the spare bits just looking at you, mocking you, that you might have made the wrong decision. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and I'm going to take up one of the suggestions that someone left on one of my previous videos. And that is to find myself a new torso for my brand new Swarmlord, aka Swarmzy. Off to Etsy we go, shall we? Pieces to camera. Okay, so I have now got the torso and the crotch piece, I suppose that'll be the best way of describing it, of the Swarmlord. This is my first ever 3D printed piece of any model, and I'm actually very impressed with the quality at which this has been done to. Very impressed. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take all the spare parts from the Hive Tyrant kit and make our new Swarmlord. I want to make this a little bit more dynamic than my previous Swarmlord. My previous Swarmlord is a bit boring, so I'm going to see what I can do with his pose to really try and bring out a little bit more of that imposing nature that I think the Swarmlord should have. So it's time to play around with some plastic. Yeah, I'm gonna go clip some of these out and we'll get posing. 1, 2, 3, I don't think that turned on. Oh wait, no, it is. So I've now cut and taken out all the pieces for this build, and there's been a little bit of a change because for some reason I thought I was going to get the legs. I thought you got 2 sets of legs for the walking Hive Tyrant, but instead, because I built the walking Hive Tyrant with this kit, I've got the Flying Hive Tyrant's feet instead. Now what I could do is potentially just clip these off right there and his foot would be normal. And then there's another issue as well, which I've now realized, is that because I didn't build the Flying Tyrant, I've got the kind of lower tail section for that one, which means he's springing up into the air. But I thought part of the Tyranid's whole thing is being able to adapt to whatever situation they're in, and they're constantly changing. So I thought, you know what? This Swarmlord is going to be one that is jumping up into the air, and I think that is going to take care of the basing issue as well, because I was going to mix around some bases, add a bit of a scenic thing, just again to make him as imposing as I possibly could. But this might actually be exactly what I was looking for, so I think I might have a jumping up in the air Swarmlord, which I think is going to look pretty damn cool. So I'm just trying to fix these bits in as tightly as I can. There's some really bad connection points with this one. So I'm gonna cut the camera and try and tidy up this because yeah, it's looking a bit ugly, but we'll see how we get on. I'm gonna do all this part and then we're gonna work on the arms because I think the arms are gonna really create that dynamic pose. I also need to find a base, so I'm gonna have to go up and see if I can scavenge the correct size base for this guy. I think I know where I'm gonna get it. So let's get all this done and then we'll get back to posing the arms. Hi Benzie. High five. Good boy. All right, so I think I've found our base swap. It's an old Mordor troll. Well, actually technically an Isengard troll. And I'm gonna use a bit of this to kind of try and prise him off because he's stuck. He is very well stuck under this thing. So I'm gonna put it in this for a little bit and hopefully that will soften up the bond on his feet and the base. And I'll be taking this. So let's see how that goes. I also don't know if this will work. I just figured that it will. Wish me luck. Oh, I hate to smell that. Thank you for your service. Okay, we have now gotten somewhere. In fact, I'm actually really happy with how this is looking. But I'm thinking this is gonna look really cool. The idea of this Swarmlord pouncing up into the air, I think is going to make it look dynamic. It also means I don't need to mess around with the basing too much. However, as you can see, the troll really didn't want to leave its base and actually took a bit of the base with it. So I brought down some of my old guard sprues that I've got from the combat patrol box. And I think this thing right here, the kind of front part of the gun, is going to slip perfectly over the top of those holes. So I'm going to fill the holes in with some Milliput, and then I'm going to slide that over the base, or over the top, basically around the tail, so it looks like it's popped up from there. So next, I just have to I'm sorry. Need to work out how I'm going to glue the 4 arms onto this guy to make him to really sell that idea that it's just sprung up into the air to then come down like an absolute whirlwind of blades. So that's going to be fun. Getting the right pose is always tricky because humans have a certain motion, and humanoid things have a very certain motion. If you don't lean into that, it just basically looks awkward. So I'm going to have a play around with that to see what way the movement really works. And yeah, I'm going to probably use some blue tack as well, just to kind of stick them in and then kind of play around with that. Let's get it done now. All right, so I'm now playing around with the blue tack just to try and get this pose as dynamic as possible. I want the impression of him jumping up into the air or kind of springing up into the air to be as obvious as possible. So I'm just trying to position the arms and the head in a way that really sells that. Hopefully you can see that. I think this might be the pose, you know. I've played around with the arms in different positions. I think the bottom two being slightly downwards gives the impression that he's kind of thrusting up, and then the other two being in a striking position or, you know, a pre-strike position is gonna look cool. I mean, I think that looks pretty cool. I think that looks pretty imposing. It's got depth to it as well with the arms. So I think this may be our pose. It's looking good. I really, really like it. You know what? That's it. That's locked in. So I just need to take a photo of this, take the blue tack off, start gluing. There we go. Let's get this blue tack off. Okay, so I haven't actually glued the head on because what I'm gonna do is I'm going to paint the head separately and then pop it in there, because you do struggle to get some of the detail on the head once it's kind of stuck in there. So I'm gonna leave that off separately. So that is the head, just blue tacked on. But I'm really, really happy with that pose. As far as a custom Swarmlord goes, this is pretty sick, and definitely makes it stand out compared to my other one, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So mission achieved. Next, get the base done, and then we'll paint them up. Looking forward to that. Right, so this boy has dried quite nicely overnight. I am really, really happy. It's always nice when you return back to a model or some work you've been doing the previous day, and you come back to it and you're really, really happy with it. So now we're going to fill in the gaps that this little cheeky rascal left. So I'm just going to use some Milliput. Now, honestly, this is something I haven't used a great deal of. This basing, all this stuff is quite new to me. As I said, I've only done it on 2 Carnifexes so far, which I was actually really happy with how they turned out. But yeah, still not something I am super familiar with. So it's always fun to play around with different styles and different techniques and just messing around, really. So you take off 50% of each of these, and then you basically roll it together. It's a really satisfying texture as well. I'll just squish it together so the 2 parts bond, and then I'm just going to fill in the 2 holes there, and then I'm going to be placing some of this Astra Militarum sprue, just see what looks good. So a little bit of experimenting, which is kind of the whole point of this video. Make sure you give the video a like as well while you're here. I'd really appreciate it, and if you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button. Massively helps. And if you've subscribed already, appreciate you, dog. Thank you. So become rock hard in 3 to 4 hours in normal room temperature. Always advisable to wear gloves. I'll just wash my hands, that'll be fine. Yeah, so that's those covered. Nice and easy. Now let's have a little play around with these sprues, shall we? So there we go. So just need to wait for this to dry, and then it's a case of priming it. I'm going to prime it with Wraithbone if I've got any left. I did use quite a lot of it on my Termagants and the Norn, so I don't know if I'll get any out of there. If I'm lucky, I will. If not, I'll find something else. Maybe do it white. We'll see. welcome to the army, Swarmsy. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, let's go through the checklist of things that I need to do at the end of the video. 1, this was a fantastic process. I thoroughly enjoyed crafting this brand new custom model. And as my friend Adam said, when you make a model yourself and you add those little personal details, it just brings the model home to you. It's your model, it's totally unique to you, and I love that. Number 2, if you could subscribe to the Patreon, that would mean a massive amount to me. It's only £3, and honestly, I'm going to invest everything I get in there back into the channel. As you can see, I've got some brand new lovely lights, I got the brand new camera, and we also got a brand new setup for painting, which hopefully you appreciate. I'm taking all the feedback I can get to continually improve upon this channel. And again, all the comments, all the feedback, please let me know in the comment section below. If you haven't liked the video, there's number 3. Like the video. If we can get this video to 500 likes, that's 6. 500 likes, that would mean a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, please just hit that subscribe button. Number 4, I would rate this experience as 2 chef's kisses out of a possible 2 chef's kisses. And with that being said, I'm out. Grab out of there. All good? Sweet.